Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Connecticut, we have an author named Carpentier. Welcome, Riel. I said that right?
Yes, you did.
Uh-huh.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. You said you were born in Canada.
Yeah.
And when you immigrated, your family came out here. Where did you end up?
Well, wound up in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and that's where the textile mills were, and so my father was after the proper jobs and all that stuff.
Well, I know Woonsocket's not that far away. I mean, I just get on 122 and now you're there. But they have a wonderful thrift shop, Salvation Army, Sally's Boutique.
Yeah, okay.
Hit. It's terrific.
I'll have to check it out.
Oh yeah. It's 4 stories, basement, first, second. The top one is dedicated to furniture. It's just, and they're in excellent condition. You want to furnish your apartment, go for it. All right, now, Riel, this book that we're going to be talking about, Barry's Brain. First of all, did you design that nice cover?
Yeah, it's pretty nice, right?
Yeah.
Shutterstock is where I get my covers, and I thought it was just appropriate.
Yeah.
You see the silhouette of a person.
Yeah.
Looks like a male face, but the brain, and I wanted the picture to wrap around.
Yeah.
So it shows up in the back as well.
See there, that's an excellent picture of you. You know, a lot of authors forget to put their picture on their book anywhere, even the back pages. I'm like, do that, because as a reader, I love to see what the author looks like. You look exactly like your picture.
Oh, okay.
As soon as you went right at the door, I said, that's him.
All right, well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh,
but
definitely.
that picture was taken at Barnes & Noble.
In what state?
We were in Warwick, in Rhode Island.
Oh, they've got one over
at the
there.
time, and so, I told my wife, I said, we're going to need a picture, and so we went across it. We were at the Olive Garden at the time, and we went across the street.
Yeah, it's very good.
We had to move a few things around to get the right look,
We have a Barnes & Noble over here in Worcester, and one in Bellingham, which isn't far from Woonsocket.
Yeah.
I don't know of any others in this area. I don't think so. We have Chattanooga in Westboro. You'd love that.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No.
Oh boy, you'd love that. So, Barry's Brain. Now, this is a real heady book. This is How on earth did you think up the story for this?
The idea came to me, and when we talk about inspiration and stuff like this, I don't want to be pretentious about it. Yeah. I could be thinking of nothing, or I could be, thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner, and I get some ideas. And I think that's probably the way that most authors operate. I mean, when we talk about inspiration, I could very well say, and be kind of pretentious about it, that, I go to New Hampshire, I look at the mountains, check out the horizon, and but that's not the case.
Yeah.
So having said that, it's not bad to have a quiet moment and reflect.
Do you write more at night or during the daytime?
The ideas come in the morning, and I try to retain that. Because I teach, I'll get home around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm alone because everyone else is working or whatever, and I'm alone, and that's when I do most of the writing.
Were you a writer when you were in school? Did you used to write a lot?
No.
No? It just happened?
My first love is music.
Yeah, you play guitar, right?
Yeah. I was a musician all my life, and that's what I concentrated on. But after a while, your life experience gives you so much to write about. Yeah. And finally, I told my wife, I got to write something. This is my second book.
The first one was Sarah Goldman.
Sarah Goldman, and that was really the book that I wanted to write because it touches on a lot of themes. And as a matter of fact, I got a great compliment on Sarah Goldman one time. Someone said that they learned something, Yeah. But I liked writing Sarah Goldman so much that I decided on Barry's Brain. And it's just a funny thought that entered my head.
Did you go through anything that Barry in the story when you were growing up?
Well, you know, we all go through something in our lives, especially when we're children, because kids are kids, and you know, you can imagine. And I think you told them that I was born in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we moved to Rhode Island, I spoke no English, yet I was in the 3rd grade. So, you know, I mean,
How did you cope?
yeah, well, there was no coping mechanism. It was just, you know, okay, here comes another day, here comes another bully, they're going to take my hat or whatever it is. But, you know, you grow up and you forget all these things. You know?
Yeah. Now, this fellow Barry's brain, he was ridiculed as a kid. Then he had an accident, had brain damage.
Mm.
And then, because of the accident, he could read minds and control other people's minds. That's quite a book.
Yeah, and it's a gradual process. In the book, I try to explain scientifically how this can happen.
Yeah.
You know, like if you watch Star Trek,
Yeah.
they can explain how you can transport and all.
Yeah.
So here comes the accident, and there's a whole section as to what's going on in his brain. So as a result of, he's able to read other people's thoughts, and then gradually it evolves into he can control their thoughts. And of course, he's 13, and there's internal conflict because on the one hand he wants to get revenge, on the other hand he wants to be a good boy,
Yeah.
and whatever.
This just came to you one day.
Yeah.
The whole thing came to you. When did you? This was published in 2019.
Yeah.
So you were writing it in maybe 2018? Or
It took me about a year and a half.
Yeah.
I started it when I was in the process of publishing Sarah Goldman. So for that reason, it's weird because Sarah Goldman was published early in 2019.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, since I had started it, and it took me about a year and a half, it was published in 2019, like in November or December.
He has a beautiful name, Réal Carpentier. Beautiful French. And when you came down to Woonsocket from Canada, you spoke a Canadian version of French, and that alone, just that alone, if you knew how to, that had to be hard for a lot of people. The people in Woonsocket, were they speaking Parisian or a combination of that and Canadian?
No, it was Canadian French, and we didn't run into. I mean, I was 8 years old, so I didn't run into anybody who could speak. But I was one of the fortunate ones out of my siblings that there was a young girl in my class in the 3rd grade who spoke both languages very fluently.
Yeah.
And so I was sat next to her, and she was able to interpret, and so I was very fortunate with
So
that.
she could translate for you.
Oh yeah.
Did the teacher have trouble, or just kept teaching and you had to keep learning?
No, because they knew French as well.
They did too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think English is the easiest language. I've heard this too, that it's hard for other people to learn.
Yeah. You know, it was so gradual for me, so I don't even remember.
You don't remember it.
What obstacles I ran into.
Yeah.
All I know is that, you know, I set my mind to it, and it happened.
And it just happened. So, Réal, how could people get in touch with you if they'd like to have you come and give a speech, or they could get your book, the book signing?
Yeah. Well, you can go online, Amazon.com, or Barnes & Noble, or your local bookstore. And if they don't have it, they can order it for you. And you can also go on my website, realcarpentier.com.
Réal, R-E-A-L, Carpentier, T-I-E-R at the end, at gmail.com.
Yes.
Boy, if you got something else on the burner now, usually an author does. Oh, look at the face. Oh, what have you got going?
I have the title is, of course, still pending because it's not done.
Yeah.
But it's going to be most likely The Witch of Brentwood. And it's a very mystical thriller type of story that I'm very excited about, and I'm very excited about the cover too.
Yeah.
But it should be done by the first week of April. It should be published
By
the first week of April. Yeah.
You're self-publishing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the way to go. You know, so many of my authors are self-publishing. No, it's
Well,
all-
I sent Sarah Goldman out to these literary agents,
Yeah.
and you
They
know,
just drag their feet, and you're just losing time.
But even the very established authors
Mhm.
are turned down.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
They will.
but after a while, you know, just got to move along and
I
do
know.
it yourself.
Self-publish, it's the way to get it out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for anybody else to say, oh, it's a great book. You know it's a great book. Get it out there. Where have some of the people, you've been at Barnes & Noble in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Mhm.
Where else have you appeared?
Bank Square Books. You familiar with that in Mystic?
Mystic, Connecticut.
Yes.
Okay. I know Mystic, but I don't know that bookstore.
Okay, and they have a sister store in Westerly. I forget the name of that. But and you know, COVID took over, so
Yeah.
it was impossible to make any appearances. I was scheduled to appear in Voluntown, I believe.
Mhm.
There was a library there, and but, you know, everything came to a halt.
Things are getting better, though, now. I've been, when I send my authors lists of places to get going with, they say, well, that particular one isn't open for this yet. I said, that's fine. Always get your name in. You'll get maybe first on the list when they open up again. But Tatnuck off the street here in Westboro, they've been open for months, and they love authors.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you about it, yeah.
Okay.
There are so many bookstores that people don't even realize
Yeah.
that are open. In Worcester alone, there's a couple of them, and I think they're open, too.
You'll have to give me some contacts,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
I'll
think
get in touch.
But this Barry's Brain, I mean, you thought of the title yourself, right?
Yeah. The two B's, you know, Boston
Yeah.
Bruins, Barry's Brain.
Yeah.
It's a catchy thing. I like the cover. It's very. I like that blue dark.
That's what got me, yeah.
Yeah.
I know when it came in the mail, I'm like, whoa, I love blue, and that's a blue cover.
Well, like I said, we do a lot of these fairs and stuff like this, you know, festivals and farmers markets or whatever.
Yeah.
And Barry's Brain is a big seller
That's right.
over Sarah Goldman.
Yeah.
That sells as well, but Barry's Brain, it's a much better seller.
A lot of our authors will say to me, well, why would you refer me to an arts and crafts festival or farmers? I'm like, because the odds of there being a lot or any other authors there, you're going to be in spotlight. And they'll, oh, and so they get it.
Absolutely, and especially if there's some kind of occasion coming up, you know, whatever, these holidays, and you know, we get some nice. When I say we, my wife and I
Yeah.
have some nice gift bags, and you know, for
Yeah.
birthdays or whatever.
Sure.
And, it's the whole package.
So the next one's coming out. You're not able to talk about the title yet, but it's coming out in April.
Oh, yeah.
Now, where do you think you're going to be to get that out? Is somewhere you're going to be appearing that you already know about?
Oh, I would love to have a release party. I'd love to have a release party, and we may be talking to some venues and open it to the public.
You know, a lot of authors, I'll say to them, all right, you're going to, I give them listings, whatever state they live in, New England, they're all over New England. And they'll say, well, why have you listed senior centers to me? Because, I said, they have grandchildren. And their grandchildren could be young adults. They could even be adults our age, too. They have books.
There was a senior center, a nursing home in Basra, and I think we went there. They were having some kind of festival.
Where was it?
Basra, Connecticut.
I've never heard of it.
Basra, Connecticut.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were having a big fair, and just for laughs, I put my name in,
Yeah.
and she got back in touch with me, and you know, we booked it. And I told my wife, well, let's not expect too much,
Yeah.
you know.
Sure.
What it is they opened it up to the public, and the public would come in with their masks or whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
there was some, you know, the protocols, right? Public was coming in. I think I sold like a dozen books there.
Yes.
Senior center.
Exactly. A few years ago, I had a wonderful author, and I was getting her out there with publicity, and she went to a senior center, not just like you, not thinking, it'll be just nice to make new friends, put it that way. She sold about 50 books. They loved it. People underestimate it.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, it's very rewarding to be in that location, in a location such as that, because even if they get company, these seniors, the company doesn't stay very long, and guess what? They'll accept any kind of occasion to, be out there and take advantage of what's going on.
How far will you travel, Real? Somebody from New Hampshire, Maine, watches the show. How far will you travel to be in person and sign?
I'm open.
You'll go. That's good.
I'm open. I was kind of joking with my wife about Sarah Goldman because the setting is New York City, NYU professor, and I would love to go down there and show some of these restaurants. Hey, look, I got you in this book.
Yeah,
and,
definitely. There are cafe bookstore combinations now. We've got them in Worcester, and you wouldn't even think, well, people are just coming in for coffee. But very often, a cafe will have a section and they'll advertise that they've got the author coming, so they're going to bring in even more people. And people say, you've got to be kidding. I'm like, no, they're popping up. Cafe bookstores.
I would love to do something like that.
You'd be great at it because you're great at presenting yourself and what you're doing. Do your kids read your books, or anybody else in your family? Do they love your books?
Absolutely. And one of the greatest compliments I got from, I keep going back to Sarah Goldman, but we're talking about Barry's Brainiac.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest compliments I had was I saw some tears.
The what?
I saw some tears from one of my kids. And,
definitely. How old are your kids now?
Oh, I have 8 children.
What?
So, yeah. So I think my daughter's 37, and I still have a 15-year-old.
That's a lot of children.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Where did you get the patience to deal with this?
The patience, that was nothing. That was nothing. I still got the patience. It's,
You've got some millennials in there. Like in their 20s and like 30, 31. Yeah, I know what that's like. Raising a millennial is interesting.
It's interesting, but it's also, a lot of good times because I goof on them.
Yeah, and they goof on us.
And they're just as good as I am. And we have a few laughs now.
You do, really. We're talking with Riel Carpentier, and he has written this book, Barry's Brain. If you want something really cool, this is great. It's about a young boy, 14.
Yeah, 13.
13. And he gets ridiculed in school and all this and that. And he has an accident. And what happens is, after the accident that causes brain damage, he can read your mind. He can also squirrel into the mind and control it in other ways. This, I would say this is also what young adults. It's right up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you go to, you've been to the book fairs, and this seems to be a really big genre right now. The fantasies and all, for young adults, they seem to love it. It's almost like a sci-fi fantasy type of thing now.
Yeah, anything to escape what's going on.
And I go just the opposite. I'll read real stories of what happened to people.
Well, that's a big genre too. Is people want nonfiction. I've heard a lot of people say stuff about that, or historical fiction.
Yeah.
Patterson,
some of the thriller authors like that. Remember Robert Parker?
Yep.
One is got to be my favorite. He's short with his answers, to the point, concise, and you just go right through the book.
Yeah.
He died way too young.
Yeah.
And now he has someone named, I think, Ace Atkins, who has taken up the mantle and written the books, I guess, is the way that Bob Parker would have written them himself. I think he was a Boston boy, because all his books are in Boston.
Well, like Stephen King, everything's it's basically New England.
Yep.
But a lot of it is in Maine, and
Yeah, he's up in Maine, isn't he, Stephen?
He lives in Maine. Yeah.
Good man. Now, when Riel walked into the studio, right off the bat, I saw the insignia on his jacket. I said, Star Trek? Yep. Were you a big fan of that?
Yeah, I was a big fan of science fiction.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember Lost in Space. That was great.
You liked that one?
Well, the first season was great.
Yeah.
The first season was great, but then the second and third seasons were in color, and I was a little kid, and it was great, you
Yeah.
know. And then Batman came on, and that was colorful, and
Yeah.
you know, they knew how to market this stuff. But the thing with Star Trek is that they were able to explain
Yeah.
the science behind all this fiction, and it was great.
Mhm.
You know.
Remember Leonard Nimoy?
Of course,
He was a Boston boy. I'm not sure about Bill Shatner.
he's a Canadian.
Canadian, that's right. He was a Canadian. He is still with us.
Oh yeah.
Nimoy died way too young, but he had been smoking too much, you know?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
did it.
yeah.
I saw him in person. I had a big crush on him for Star Trek. Oh!
You
The
know
other
what?
girls probably were looking at Shatner, and I thought, oh.
Yeah, Shatner.
Spock was really cool.
Shatner was the hunk, right? But
well, I
I saw
know.
Shatner a couple of years ago now, and he took some Q&A,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
did some of that. But they sent him up in space there
Yeah.
recently.
Yep. Was it Bezos that invented that ride for people? That wealthy millionaire?
Yeah, I
Something
forgot.
Bezos. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think so.
I know that Shatner and Nimoy parted ways for quite a long time. I read the what do you call it, the biography of Nimoy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well,
because, you know, it was
It's the same thing that happens to a lot of bands where egos take over, and you know, whoever has the strongest ego is going to create the most havoc. And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's unfortunate, but these things happen. And you know, Star Trek only did 3 seasons, but if they had gone longer, maybe they wouldn't have, because
Yeah, that's true.
because of the animosity that was going on.
I think Leonard was always feeling like Shatner was trying to take over all the attention.
And maybe he was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I saw Leonard Nimoy. We're getting off topic, but anyway, I saw him in person when it used to be Riverside Park in West Springfield. Is it Agawam, Massachusetts? He was there, and Leonard he sang. I had some of his
Yeah, yeah,
albums. I mean, he wasn't great, but he was pretty good. I didn't care. I was like, oh, you know, I thought he was terrific. Oh, well, anyway, we're talking to Riel Carpentier, and he is the author who wrote Barry's Brain. Where can they get a hold of your copy or get a hold of you?
All my books are available online. You can go to Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, local bookstore. Just and if they don't have it, they can order it for you. But also you can go on my website, RayalCarpentier.com, and there you're going to find some links.
And downstairs in the Upton Library, in the dedicated authors section, local authors, pick up a copy of his book there. How
Yeah,
about
I'll
that?
drop some off, sure.
That sounds really, really good. Now, I am wondering, since it's coming out in April, the next one, I've got to get you on as soon as you get that. Got to get you on. Yes, definitely. Once you're on YouTube, you are everywhere. I have
Yeah.
a former classmate in Japan watching it. It was, I think, a pen pal in Canada who's watching it. I mean, it's everywhere.
Excellent.
It's a
Yeah.
dream. I mean, everywhere you go, you could probably, with your book, there are so many places you could go, from libraries to senior centers to the cafe bookshops, bookstores. Oh,
There's
Yeah.
there's quite a market out there for this particular genre.
yeah.
I label it as a psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you read it, it's a lot more. I mean, there's a lot of humor in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of humor in Sarah Goldman too, but that's
Yeah.
more cute humor,
Yeah.
you know, as opposed to stupid humor.
How about the next one coming up? The Witch of, what is it now?
Brentwood,
The Brentwood.
the Witch of Brentwood. This happens. The setting is late 17th century.
Mm-hmm.
Salem, and you know, it is very hard for me to restrain myself from throwing in some humor in there. It's very hard.
That's good. That's good.
It's ridiculously hard for me to do that,
Yeah.
but I have to. And
Yeah.
and the thing with the Witch of Brentwood is that, you know, that time period, you know, they spoke differently. The culture was different. They had different jobs that they did. things that don't exist. They didn't even have wheelchairs at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You only found those in the rich people in Europe.
Mm.
So it's quite a challenge.
Did you ever read that book? I think I read it. An aunt of mine sent it to me. The Witch of Blackbird Pond. That is, she comes over, I believe, from England on the boat, and she ends up, of course, in America, and they regarded her as a witch. It was really something. I remember I loved it right off the bat. But this book, I'm really looking forward to this. You're designing the cover, right? Coming up, it's going to be...
Yeah, and I'm very excited about it. And there's a little bit of mysticism that happens.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it's coincidence or not. It's
There's the mystery coming.
kind of exciting.
Now, being from Warwick, how long did it take you to get here?
Well, I work in Warwick, and it took me about an hour.
But you're from another town in Connecticut.
Sterling, Connecticut.
And are you in is it mid-Connecticut? I should know this.
No. It's right on the Rhode Island line. It only takes me about a half hour to get to work.
All right. I'm just trying to think, because when we go to Woonsocket, Rhode Island, go through Uxbridge, Blackstone, Millville, you're there. To go to Connecticut, you live much further up towards this area. When I lived in Connecticut, it was way down.
I would, not from here, but like, let's say, like Burrville, for example. I'd take 102 heading south, and you may be 40 minutes away.
Yeah, when I lived in Connecticut, it was down near the Merritt Parkway, way down near Greenwich, and my father had to be in New York City because of his job. We've been talking with Riel Carpentier. Wonderful new book, Barry's Brain. He's got another one coming up in April. Kind of a witch, a mysterious one with mysticism in it. That sounds so cool. We got to get you out there. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
We'll have him back. We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.